Effectively, defendant stole from Peter to pay Paul. There's the spicy we were looking for. Welcome back to Wine and Chill, your home for all things entertainment law shenanigans. I'm Stephanie, your friendly neighborhood lawyer. Well, not your lawyer, which brings me quickly to our disclaimer. By watching this video, you understand and acknowledge that this video is solely for entertainment purposes only, and you agree that you read the full disclaimer down below in the description box. Today, we are drinking sangria. I already made it, and by sangria, I mean like bootleg sangria. My friends came over yesterday, so I had leftover red wine. I had some grapefruit spritzer thing. It doesn't taste bad, so I just mix them together. It tastes much better mixed together. Separately, the fruit mixer spritz thingy wasn't doing it for the girls. I'm going to start linking all of the fashions in the description box. So if you're interested and you too want to support a Black-owned business, the motherland, that'll be there for you. This one was on sale, so hopefully by the time I edit this, which will be today or tomorrow, they still have it because it was a good price. Today, we're gonna talk about scammers. I mean criminals. Criminals specifically. One that's married to Kimora Simmons, and the two of them are now being sued by her ex-husband for allegedly taking money from Russell Simmons, said ex-husband, to pay for the current scammer husband to avoid jail time. Yeah, grab the wine. And not to be left out or forgotten, Russell has his own legal troubles, child. Mess. Which Kimora finally, after years of allegations from other women, finally addressed, which I find interesting. So first, a bit of background as to how the hell these Rentley culture living people got here. The 1MDB saga is, if not one of, it is maybe the largest financial heist in the past century, conducted by Kimora Simmons' current husband, Tim Lesner, and other co-conspirators, some of whom which worked at Goldman Sachs. Yep, this happened a few years ago if you forgot. So let me just refresh your memory, because this lawsuit won't make any sense unless you remember what the hell this man did. And by did, I mean he confessed and signed his name to said confession. Him and his co-conspirators decided to launder and defraud billions of dollars from One Malaysia Development Berhad, I think that's how you say it, fund. So 1MDB fund. So it's a Malaysian state-owned and controlled investment fund created for the purpose to fund the Malaysian economy. A lot of the Asian economy, it was going to help prosper for the economic benefit of people. So most governments have wealth funds. The most famous wealth fund is the Saudi wealth fund, which is many, many billions of dollars, many times over. Most colleges also have wealth funds. You invest in a fund because the fund is supposed to generate money. Harvard has the largest college fund out of any college, multiple billions of dollars, and they still kick their students out on the curb when COVID happened. Trifling. So yes, the rich are living a different life than us, a very different life. Tim pled guilty to taking money from the fund, acting a fool, to the tune of $200-300 million he scammed for himself. He is banned forever, the rest of his life, from Singapore. He is banned by the SEC for 10 years. He is not allowed to trade anything, not even a penny stock. Which, I'm very curious, how does he make money now when he has been an investment banker the majority of his life? Questions. So the US government offered him a deal to avoid jail time to the tune of him paying $44 million, specifically $43,700,000. Or he would go to jail for a few decades. This is from the SEC case from the commission. We'll just go down to paragraph D. Respondent shall pay to the commission disgorgement. You know, sometimes I like the fluffery that is legalese. Disgorgement, that's a good one. Of $43,700,000. The amount of this obligation shall be reduced and deemed satisfied by the amount of respondent's criminal forfeiture in the United States v. Lesner, blah, blah, blah. That's the case citation, 2018, up to and including the entire amount of this obligation by the commission. So that's where Russ comes in to the tune of the $43 million, allegedly. So let's get into this case. So as usual, I'm going to put the case to this side of me. So you'll see Russell Simmons, he's suing, and on behalf of New Horizons. New Horizons is his investment firm. It's giving 90s. You'll see that New Horizons is both a plaintiff and a nominal defendant. It's the first time we're seeing this on the channel. Very interesting. And then you're going to see Tim Lesnar, Kimora Lee Lesnar, which is interesting that I have her name here as Kimora Lee Lesnar. Then they reference her as Kimora Lee Simmons Lesnar, and then she just goes by Kimora Lee Simmons. So Kimora, y'all know Kimora. And then they have these different firms listed. These are a bunch of different entities, which we'll get into. This is a very interesting case of corporate entity formation. Very interesting. My corporations professor would probably really like this case. All right, so what are the claims? We have 5 main ones. Breach of contract, which we've covered multiple times. The contract in question is going to be the operating agreement of New Horizons. We're gonna get into it, but quickly, by operating agreement, it is the agreement that the firm is supposed to abide by between the partners, the managers, the advisors. Because Tim Lesnar apparently was a manager of the fund. Interesting. We'll get into that. Fraudulent concealment. Very plain and dry. Did you hide the fraud? Okay? Very simple. Conversion. We've done conversion before. Conversion is a fancy word for thief and money. All right. Breach of fiduciary duty. So a fiduciary, again, is somebody who has an ethical or legal position of trust to somebody else. For example, if I were to ever take on private clients, which I do not, y'all know this, but if I were, then I have a fiduciary duty as an attorney to uphold confidentiality, to uphold attorney-client privilege, etc., things like that. So when you breach that, you get sued for not only breach of contract, but breach of the duty that you're supposed to do. Okay, then breach of confidential relationship / constructive fraud. It's similar to fraudulent concealment claim and breach of fiduciary duty. It's like basically them combined. All right, and then we have quantum meruit, which is unjust enrichment, which we had talked about. Unjust enrichment came up in the Pat the Manager versus Chance the Rapper case, which is, did I provide these services for you? Did you use all this stuff? Have you now gotten money without, and you shouldn't have gotten money? That's what quantum meruit is, similar to that. All right, so we're not going to get into the claims specifically. We're just going to focus on the totality of the claims because they basically intertwine. So now you know kind of what we're looking for. Like, did y'all steal this money? Did y'all hide this money? Did you hide the fact that you stole the money? Okay, so paragraph 1. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but basically, everybody had a good relationship. Everything is going well. Start like in the middle of the paragraph. Similarly, at least until the dispute arose, Simmons enjoyed a special confidential relationship of trust and confidence with defendant Lesnar, who is the fiduciary, stepfather to his children, and one-time trusted business associate and advisor. However, in mid-2017, substantial federal criminal charges were filed against defendant. I don't know if it might be Leisner. I take correction, it's fine. We're gonna call this man Tim. Arising out of his role while a managing director at Goldman Sachs in 1MDB, one of the largest commercial frauds in the world. These events led to the instant unfortunate lawsuit. All right, so let's scroll down to paragraph 2. So what exactly happened? They were having a very ride or die together post-nuptial relationship. So paragraph 2, while awaiting his plea deal in sentencing in 2018, defendant Tim and Lee, knowing full well that they would be required to pay tens of millions for bail and a victim compensation plea deal, conspired with each other and with all the defendants to effectuate the unlawful fraudulent scheme set forth herein. Without Simmons, so now when we talk about Simmons here, Simmons will be Russell. So without Simmons' knowledge or consent, defendants conspired to cause an unlawful conversion and fraudulent transfer of New Horizon and or assets to defendants, causing significant damages to Simmons and New Horizons. Asset to defendants. So he's saying, because remember all the defendants, a bunch of them are just investment vehicles. So they're saying Kimora and Tim took the money, gave it to the investment vehicles, which they owned, either wholly or partially. Okay, Simmons did not learn about this fraudulent transaction until the end of July 2019, and since that time, Simmons has repeatedly tried for years to avoid filing this lawsuit and resolve it amicably. Much to his chagrin, defendant Tim and Lee have failed and refused to do so. Even as recently as May 5th, 2021, Simmons wrote and sent a letter to his ex-wife Lee, imploring her to get the important family matter of the Celsius shares to a close so that way we can put it behind us. We are going to read the letter. Not yet. Because sometimes whenever we're doing this, litigation attorneys, some of them you have to tell the story. You have to plead the case. Like, this is all allegations. So, sometimes their storytelling is off. So then I have to reorder it. It's a way that makes sense. Also, isn't this glass fun if it's a whole bottle of wine? Which obviously I don't have in here. Because y'all be trying to wine watch me. Now, you might be wondering, how the heck did Kimora and Tim get in possession, allegedly, of Russell's money? We're going to get there. First things first, they set up a few investment vehicles themselves. So New Horizons is Russell's investment vehicle. So let's go to, and then we have CC, it's going to be in the paragraph we're going to read, is Cuscadine Capital Limited, which Tim allegedly owns in some capacity. I don't know if it's wholly owned or if him and Kimora own it, but they're alleging that Tim owns Cuscadine Capital Limited, which is CC. From a corporate entity standpoint and formation, this is very interesting how they allegedly set this up. All right. Particularly how to create investment vehicles to shield and funnel funds. Paragraph 23. In 2016, by reason of the special confidential relationship between plaintiff and Simmons and defendants Lee and Lessner, Simmons entered into an LLC operating agreement of New Horizons. So when you have an LLC, a corporation, most types of corporations and LLCs, sole proprietorships don't require them. You have to have an operating agreement, which says this is how the company runs. Who has majority voting power? By which one, Tim, stepfather to Simmons' children, they keep saying this, became an additional, along with Simmons, manager of New Horizons. So they became managers of the entity. Then Tim and his alter ego vehicle, defendant CC, so that's Cuscadine Limited, so became the 51% member of derivative plaintiff New Horizons. So at that point, Tim, according to this, has power of New Horizons, which I find to be very interesting, which he probably gave him some capital, like some money for that when they set it up. Because be aware, Tim is a prolific investment banker before he decided to become a scammer. So then Lee, Simmons' former wife, continued friend, mother of his children, they loved this whole case. They reinforced that, like, wow, y'all really tried me. Became an advisor to New Horizons and a member of New Horizons Investment Board, pursuant to Section 8.9 of the New Horizons Operating Agreement. I don't have the operating agreement. That is, the breach of contract claim is coming from this specifically. Okay, so paragraph 24, pursuant to 2016 New Horizons Operating Agreement, Plaintiff Simmons owned a 49% interest in all of the assets of New Horizons. As part of New Horizons' first investment, Simmons found and identified a publicly traded company known as Celsius Holdings, Inc., in which New Horizons made a considerable investment in the tens of millions of dollars. What's interesting, before this case, I had never heard of Celsius. Celsius apparently is some energy drink. Apparently they were doing very well, to which the point where his shares were worth a lot of money. All right, so continuing down the money trail, but first a sip. We're gonna go a little bit out of order because I had to restructure it. We're gonna go to paragraph 34. So remember, he's saying like, hey, y'all defrauded me. On or after May 21st, 2018, defendants entered into an unlawful agreement reported on an SEC Schedule 13G for Celsius. So they told the SEC, like, hey, these are our shares, so we're going to use this for the bail money. Allegedly. Purported to reflect a series of transactions unknown to and not consented by Simmons, either in his individual capacity or as a manager of New Horizons. The net sum of defendants' unlawful transactions set forth herein is that Simmons and New Horizons were defrauded such that the ownership interest in 3,972,659 Celsius shares, along with the voting and investment power, were converted and misappropriated by defendants, and in addition, ownership and control of NH was converted and fraudulently transferred to defendants. So, because that's a lot of legal jargon. Russell is alleging not only did they take his shares, according to Russ, which we're not going to talk about he is not any shining beacon of morality either. He's alleging that not only did they take his shares, that they took his company, that they converted the ownership of New Horizons to themselves. Who's the audacity for me, child? So then paragraph 31, because we got to rearrange. In or about July 2019, Simmons' new accountants, so he then got some new accountants, were conducting a review of his assets and privileged tax advice. So you're going to see throughout this document, there's a lot of confidential privilege mentioned because they're trying to shield things from discovery. So he doesn't want them all up in his money when they respond, which I think is very interesting. Very interesting. At the time that they became aware that a substantial unexplained change in Simmons' interest in New Horizons and Celsius appeared to have occurred in 2018, according to their review of the 2018 10Ks filed by or on behalf of Celsius. Accountants catch everything, child. Like in the Joe Rory Mall saga. And I say that slowly because people keep telling me it's said 2 different ways, and I'm like, give it to Jesus. I'm done with it. All right, so reference back to when we started this conversation. How much money did Timmy Tim need to stay out of jail? $44 million. Okay, last sentence of paragraph 35. As part of his plea deal, Tim agreed to pay about $44 million. In short, knowing full and well that defendant Tim would need tens of millions of dollars to avoid jail time, they do a lot of repeating in this complaint. I'm like, come get to the point, y'all. Defendants engage in this blatant fraud to achieve that nefarious and unlawful goal. Effectively, defendants stole from Peter to pay Paul. There's the spicy we were looking for. However, this time Peter, aka Simmons, sues and wants his interest in New Horizons and Celsius Securities returned. They didn't have to do the AKA, y'all. See, this is what happens when people try to do the 1-2 punch, but they don't have good comedic timing. It's fine. A for effort, boo. I see what you're trying to do in the drafting. This is probably the most exciting case they've gotten to work on in their career. Now we've set the stage. We know how allegedly the money was stolen, how the shares were allegedly stolen, how they set this up. Okay, cool. So what happened next? So after Russell and his accountants realized that allegedly Tim and Kimora, thieved the money, he, tried to fix the issue. So now let's go back to his letter that was referenced on page 2. Allegedly, this letter is from May of this year before he filed this lawsuit. As you know, throughout my entire decades-long partnership with you, this is a letter to Kimora, I've done everything and anything to protect and promote our family. I have never said no to any request. Why, Brooklyn? Why? I have never said no to any request and have always gone against my own counsel to offer up much more than any judge would ever require of me in order to keep the peace. He said, you've been paid. This is why I don't accept gifts from people, child. I have invited you to share in many of my business opportunities, including introducing you to Celsius, which has been very lucrative for you. I am shocked and saddened to see how your side has behaved in response to my repeated attempts to get an agreement from you to rightfully and legally reaffirm my 50% of the Celsius shares, which have been locked up with the government after being used for your husband's bail money. Whew. This, by the way, having been done under an illegal, all caps, transfer of my funds that I had no knowledge of. Oh, he's getting a little spicy. He said, I'm going to put this in caps. So Miss Ma'am, and would have never agreed to. Okay. So not to be outdone, Tim and Kim, I want to call them Tim and Kim so bad. Tim and Kimora wrote a few letters allegedly of their own on New Horizons, their new company's letterhead. The foolery of this entire lawsuit, I'm like, wow, the lengths people will go to ensure that they're still riding around in a Rentley is wild to me. They're going to go down to their little letter, allegedly, paragraph 38, document reported to be dated June 26, 2018, and written on New Horizon letterhead. Defendants Lee and Lesnar conspired with each other and wrote and together signed, bold, underlined, a letter saying the following: to whom it may concern, the underlined Tim, as manager of New Horizons Investment Group LLC, and Kimora Lee Simmons Lesnar in her personal capacity, confirmed that all the damn shares in Celsius Holdings Inc. have been temporarily loaned to Kimora Lee Simmons Lesnar, $3,900,000. Y'all don't want to read that out. Okay, cool. For purposes of the bond in connection with federal case, he's a little case number because he is an admitted criminal, and will be returned when such collateral is no longer required. Why would it not be required? Like when you make up $44 million, how are you going to make $44 million when your job that you were very good at, you're not allowed to do anymore because you decided to fraud people? Questions that need answers. And another one. In addition, by yet another document, this one purported to be dated February 5th, 2020, defendants continued with their cover-up. To whom it may concern, Tim, as manager of New Horizons, blah, 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 confirmed that Russell Simmons is the beneficial owner of 49% of the 3.9 million shares that New Horizons acquired in 2015, net of any capital contributions. Okay, in accordance with the operating agreement, what they're arguing about. I further confirm, he said, okay, I confirm that they belong to you, but now I confirm something else too. I further confirm that these shares have been temporarily loaned to Kimora Lee Simmons Leisner for the purpose of the bond in connection with his case number, because again, he is an admitted criminal, and will be returned when such collateral is no longer required, aka when I magically make up $44 million doing who knows what. So yes, so now you see that this is where we are in this. And we're gonna end on one thing that I find really interesting. So this was filed last week, I think. So far, Kimora and Tim have yet to respond in the court of law, but they have responded in the court of public opinion, particularly giving a statement to the Daily Mail, which why would you give them a statement? It's a bit long, so I'm going to put it right here. I'll let you read it. I will paraphrase. Part of it said, which is interesting, this is an ill-advised attempt by Russell to use the legal system to access funds he is in no way entitled to, and to which his own legal team confirms Russell did not pay for. Wait, what? Child, one said it's their money, the other one said the hell it is. Russell's continued aggressive behavior not only blatantly distorts the facts, but is simply a desperate PR ploy ignoring the years of mental and emotional anguish, gaslighting, and ongoing harassment he has inflicted on Kimora. I believe that to be true. 100% I believe that to be true. However, also I know to be true, and we also know to be true, that many women have lodged complaints against Russell Simmons, which is, the shady thing is going to continue. And during said lodging of said complaints, Kimora said nothing, when she could have used her platform and said, yes, I too have been harassed by this person, and I too am no longer willing to protect them. Could have, should have, would have, child. Continue. Russell will be held accountable for his serial abuse and will confront his baseless claims. This part is interesting. This extortion attempt. Extortion! Honey, you can't say someone else is extorting you when you're married to a confessed criminal. Is especially egregious given that Russell remains contractually in debt to Kimora for millions of dollars in unpaid business loans. Child, she said he's a thief. Okay. Our team is actively working to put a firm end to this harassment, which continues despite Russell having fled the country. The full shade came out. He will face his own reckoning in the U.S. court, the statement concluded. Yeah, so Russell has fled the country to Bali, child. I think he's posing it as he's like on vacation. Boo boo, you're not on vacation. Stop this. So in conclusion, somebody is lying. But it's hard to tell when all the parties involved have a history of being blind to the truth. When I started reading the case, something that my grandma used to say to me, and something that I'm sure like your grandmothers have said to you, came to mind, which was the tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. If y'all just did, you know what? That's rich people business. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Who do we think is, one of them is lying? Maybe both of them are lying. So a lie is occurring. Some type of lie is occurring. Who do we think is lying? I'm very curious. And I'm waiting for her receipts that he allegedly owes her money. Well, we are not going to have our live because I'm going to be out of town, but we will have our live next week and every Thursday. If you made it to the end, thank you. Don't forget to go ahead and like and subscribe. So I'll see y'all in the next video.